my beloved child. And then, last night, in that moment when the world held its breath in silence, you felt something erupt within. Something formless, yet heavy like thunder, echoing from the depths of your soul. Those two souls, they have not abandoned you. Even when you covered your ears against their whispers, even when you turned your face away, evading the gaze of the sacred, they remained. Patient, gentle, yet fierce, like a wind threading through the cracks of your heart. You do not explain with words, they speak through feelings, sensations that slip through every fissure of self-deception. Yes, you have lulled yourself to sleep within a cocoon of safety spun by your own hands. You believed life was still bearable, that the sleepless nights were merely due to overwork, that the unexplained sighs were nothing but passing fatigue. But deep in your mind, where reason no longer governs the heart, you knew that wasn't true. You sensed something had veered off course. Something had broken, yet you tried to ignore it, as if by not looking it might disappear. Those two souls, they do not cry out to you in sorrow, but with a love profound and unwavering. A love not confined by space or time, not silenced by death. They call you with the light of memory, with a voice only the heart can hear. It is not a call for you to run away, but to turn inward, to remember who you are, what you once lived for. They have known, long before you admitted it, that you had begun to lose your own light. Light does not vanish in an instant. It fades, bit by bit, like a candle flickering in still air. You exchange the vitality of your soul for layers of safety, for pleasant illusions, for unseen compromises you mistook for wisdom. But no radiant soul can endure long in darkness. They saw this before you ever dared to acknowledge it. You have ignored too many signs, the times your heart raced without reason, the dreams that left your eyes wet with tears you couldn't name, that feeling of someone standing behind you, gazing at you with sorrowful but longing eyes. That was no illusion. It was an invitation, a call to return to the deepest part of yourself, where you were once a child who believed in goodness, where you once wept for the pain of strangers. They never blamed you, never showed anger. They asked only one thing of you: awaken. Don't let silence consume your soul. Don't let the days pass with a heart reduced to a machine echoing life's rhythm. They see you living as though already dead, and that wounds them more than death itself. For death only severs the body, but forgetfulness dissolves the soul. You think you are strong, but no one is strong when they turn away from their own pain. You think you are free, but no one is free when they imprison their soul in a cage of numbness. These two souls didn't come to take you away. They came to bring you back to yourself, whole, fragile, and true. Not the person the world molded you into, but you, as you were in the beginning, before your light was hidden. There is a truth every soul knows, though humans often forget. Pain is not the enemy. The cracks are not proof of weakness. They are entryways through which light can reach you. These souls have walked through the darkness, and they know no one emerges untouched. But anyone can step out, if they are brave enough to face it. They believe you have that courage, and so they keep calling. Amid the vast silence of the universe, there is a sound meant only for your soul. the sound of forgiveness, of hope, of things not yet lost, of love still waiting to be received. They do not promise the road ahead will be easy, but they know, as you once knew, that your heart was not made to give up. When your eyes pause at a beam of sunlight breaking through the leaves, when the morning bird song stirs something in you, that is them. When you clench your hand without knowing why amid the chaos of life, that is their reminder. You are still fighting, even if you don't realize it. And one day, when your heart opens just enough to whisper a prayer, silent, trembling, they will be the ones who lift you, not with hands, but with faith. The faith they've held for you through every moment you lost it. The faith that no soul is born to be lost forever. You are still here. With all the beauty you once held, it is not gone. It is only waiting to be found again. In stillness, in the whisper of those two loving souls, you will learn to listen once more. To touch your pain without fearing it will shatter you. To walk through the long night without losing sight of the dawn, and you will realize you have never truly been alone. For those souls, they never left. They are part of you, the part your light has always reached toward. And when you are brave enough to stop turning away, when you are still enough to truly hear, when you dare to name your fear and face it, you will see what they bring is not a warning. It is a chance to begin again from the very place you thought it had all ended, a chance to live once more, not merely survive. That chance is here, now, in every breath, every heartbeat, every faint flicker of light that has not yet gone out. When you dare to step forward, even a small step, even with trembling feet, that is already a resurrection. A quiet rebirth, without fireworks, without applause. For true life does not begin with noise. It begins in the moment a soul chooses to no longer look away. You may not know where you're going. The path may still feel clouded, the crossroads tangled, the voices within you clashing, but the mere fact that you choose not to stop, that you refuse to be swallowed by numbness, that alone brings peace to those two souls. For they do not ask you to be perfect, nor to know all the answers. They only ask that you do not lose yourself. You once thought a fragile soul was one that cried too easily, that hurt too often. But now you understand. A truly fragile soul is one that no longer feels anything at all. No longer aches, no longer mourns, no longer stirs at beauty. When your heart becomes numb to what is sacred, that is when you truly break. Those two souls have watched every moment of that fading. They saw you fall silent when you should have spoken, saw you turn away when someone needed your embrace, saw you force a smile and say, "I'm fine," while your heart lay in ruins after a storm. They longed to hold you, but could not. They could only whisper in dreams, shine through a stray beam of morning light. And they waited, silently, patiently, until you began to hear. You don't need to force transformation overnight. Healing is not a sprint, it is a journey, where you must learn to forgive yourself, little by little, Learn to face the choices you regret, not to punish yourself, but to understand. Understand that you too are only human, always in the process of learning how to love, how to exist. They knew, before you even realized it, that your heart had never truly gone cold. It was simply too hurt, too weary from pretending to be strong. You built walls so no one could see your weakness, but those same walls also blocked out love, and so you felt alone, even in a crowd. They saw this, and still they kept calling, because true love never leaves. Now, as you begin to face yourself, to open your heart again, the world will start to look different. Not because the world has changed, but because your gaze has. An old tree on a street corner feels familiar. A sudden downpour brings a sense of cleansing. An old song tugs at your heart, not from sorrow, but from gratitude. Gratitude that you can still feel. Those two souls did not come to pull you away from this place. They came to remind you that you are still alive, that every moment in the present is a miracle, even if it lacks grandeur, that the very fact you feel tired, feel fragile, feel yearning, is proof that the flame within you has not gone out. You once feared vulnerability. You once believed that to let others see your wounds was a failure. But the truth is this: no one reaches the light without passing through the cracks. No one can love fully unless they are willing to let their heart break for that love. And you, once again, are beginning to learn how to love yourself, to love life, to even love the fragments of memory that once brought you pain. They rejoice in that. Though you cannot see them, though you cannot hear their laughter, you will feel the gentleness in every breath, in each morning when you wake and your heart feels a little more at peace. That is no coincidence. That is them, walking beside you. One day, when you are strong enough not just to live for yourself, but to reach out to others who are lost as you once were, then you will become the voice calling out to someone, just as they once called out to you. Like light passed from one candle to the next, not diminishing, but glowing ever brighter. You will see. Every pain you once endured was not meaningless. Every tear, every collapse, every sleepless night was a thread in the fabric of empathy, so that you may know how to hold the hand of a trembling soul and say, "I've been there, and I came back. You can too." For that is the most wondrous gift those two souls have left you. Not advice, not miracles, but the belief that anyone can return. A belief that needs no logic, no evidence, only a heart brave enough to trust. Now, you have begun to walk, no longer turning your back, no longer covering your ears. And each step you take, though slow, is a new song being written. A song not perfect, but honest. A song of life in its truest sense. Those two souls are smiling. They no longer plead, no longer cry out, because they know you have heard, and you, at last, have answered. Heaven does not weep forever. Though the love from that realm is infinite, Though its mercy is vast, like the boundless sea, even it, like all things, has a limit. Mercy is a gentle river, watering your soul each day, flowing through the darkened corridors you've been afraid to face. But even the greatest river does not flow endlessly without banks. It has a beginning, and it has a place where it dissolves into the unseen, and you are nearing the river's end, where the water is no longer clear, where the light no longer reflects on its once soothing surface. You were given time, more than you deserved, more than you dared to hope for. Every morning you open your eyes, every evening you walk through the sunset, is another chance heaven granted you, a chance to awaken, to change, to turn back. But you have grown used to delay. You told yourself, tomorrow, I'll live fully. Tomorrow, I'll ask for forgiveness. Tomorrow, I'll love. And tomorrow kept stretching forward like an invisible shadow, until you no longer recognized that today was the very day you once promised to begin. There are doors opened by love, but no one can hold open a door that has reached its time to close, and time itself is that door. It does not slam shut like thunder, nor howl like a storm. It closes with a silence so haunting, it feels like a dream fading the moment you reach out to touch it. When that door closes, you will be standing on one side or the other. There is no middle ground, no gray zone for the hesitant soul. You are either in the light, where the awakened dwell, those who bow their heads and heal with sincerity, or in the dark, where souls turn away from truth, where loving calls are left unanswered, where apathy becomes habit. The choice lies with no one else but you. No angel can pull you into the light if you refuse to take a step. No soul can save you from your lostness if you still cling to the path of shadows. Face the truth. Stop deceiving yourself. You feel it. Something is closing. Not just a chapter of life, but a sacred opportunity. The signs grow clearer by the day. The silence after prayer. The emptiness after fleeting joys. The fading glow of a faith that once lit you up. It's not that heaven has abandoned you. It's that heaven is stepping back, quietly, to see whether you love enough to run toward it, or whether you will keep turning away. There are things you've missed, my child. Moments when you should have said, "I'm sorry," but chose silence. Times when you should have held on, but let go. And even though mercy is an ocean, every moment of apathy is a handful of water spilled. Every delay is a bridge worn thinner. There will come a time when what you thought was still time becomes too late. Maybe you don't feel afraid. Maybe you've delayed so long your heart no longer trembles at warnings. But remember, silence is not peace. Sometimes, silence is the proof of a door already closed, one that will never open again. Those two souls who once called you in a language deeper than words, who once lit the way behind you, are waiting one final time, not to judge, but to know whether the love they placed in you was worth it. They once knelt and knocked on your heart with the purest love, but now that knocking grows faint, not from weariness, but because their time to be near you is running out. Heaven will not hold out its arms forever if you keep turning away. Not because it lacks love, but because justice, too, is a form of love. The choice must always come from you. If you do not choose the light, then by default, you choose the dark. And when that door finally closes, you will no longer hear the voices of those souls, no longer feel the chill of invisible tears falling onto your pillow, no longer sense the breeze that calmed you in the summer night. All of it will vanish, fall silent, as if it never was. Then, you will be left alone, with all the choices you once set aside. Remember this: love is a gift, not a right. Time is a miracle, but also a reminder. Live in a way worthy of what has been given. And heaven, though still open, will only remain so for those who return before it is too late. Do not be the one who arrives late to the feast of grace. Do not let the final knock sound while you still sleep in your shell of false safety. Do not let those two souls walk away without ever hearing a reply from your heart. For once the door closes, no miracle will be strong enough to open it again. Only silence will remain, and a regret that has no name. Yesterday morning, before the first light even touched the edge of your window, the first soul spoke. Not with words, but with a tremor more delicate than sound, so gentle it seemed no more than a breeze brushing across your thoughts. It whispered, not in fear, nor threat, but with one thing only: a tender warning meant solely for your soul. It was not an accusation, not the roar of an angry realm, but the murmur of a love that has walked beside you through countless days, though you never noticed. That whisper slipped into the moments when your guard was down, in the absent gaze toward a gray sky, in the sudden pause in your heartbeat on an otherwise normal day. It seeks to awaken in you a quiet awareness that something has shifted off course, that the path you're on no longer leads toward the light. That soul, the one who once watched over you, did not come bearing threats. It did not wish to frighten you. It only wanted you to remember that there is something beyond the logic of daily life, beyond the pursuit of safety, something more sacred than all you can see or hear. A silent, vast presence, like the sky too immense to be held, yet always there, enveloping you, waiting for your recognition. But you did not listen. You dismissed it as a trick of the mind, a flicker of light in a moment of exhaustion, a fleeting thought lost among the countless trivialities demanding your attention each day. You wiped away that feeling as one would clean dust off a tabletop, without hesitation, without reverence, because you've grown used to living within reason, to measuring everything by the metrics of the visible world: work, responsibilities, deadlines, praise, and criticism. In such a world, a whisper holds no place. An unseen soul cannot compete with the buzz of your phone, the ping of incoming messages, the rush you've come to believe is real life. Yet the soul did not give up. Though its voice was as light as morning mist, though its presence was so faint that even a blink could make you forget, it remained. Like the moon that continues to shine through the night, even when no one looks up. And when you turned away, believing it all to be imagination, believing you were fine, in control, at that moment, the second soul spoke. no longer in whispers. It arrived as a shiver running down your spine, a cold gust of wind sweeping through noonday heat, a sudden emptiness in your chest, even while standing amid a crowd. The second soul did not come with reproach, but its tone carried urgency. It could no longer speak in gentle metaphors, for time had become urgent. It sensed the quickening of your descent. It saw the cracks spreading through your spirit. It knew, if it did not call out more forcefully, you would fall. Not because you were pushed, but because you were walking, unknowingly, into a void. These two souls, one speaking with tenderness, the other with urgency, are the ones who love you unconditionally. They were once flesh and blood, memory and light, in the years you no longer clearly recall. Now they exist only in their most delicate form, feelings, intuitions, things beyond words, and they can only reach you through such fragile means, for the laws of the sacred realm do not allow them to interfere with your choices. They cannot force you to turn back. They can only create slight fractures, quiet pauses, moments that, if you would only listen, might help you realize you are being called. But when those calls are dismissed as fantasy, when you refuse to look, to hear, the door of time begins to shift. It does not slam shut, not yet, but it moves slightly, like the faint creak of a hinge, warning of what is to come. Heaven is not a place of judgment, but it is not a refuge for the perpetually indifferent either. Mercy is a river, but even that river has a beginning and an end. And if you continue treating these calls as trifles, if you continue choosing delay over awakening, you will find the day that door closes is not far off. You once believed you would recognize the moment it came, that there would be a clear sign, a strong reminder, a thunderous voice. But the truth is, the final warning is always the softest, always a whisper drowned by the clamor of daily life, always a feeling as light as breath. And if you do not pause, it will pass, as if it never was. You won't know which call is the last, but each time you ignore it, each time you whisper to yourself, "Not now," it comes closer. And the first soul, the one who spoke to you yesterday morning, with a gentleness so subtle only the most sensitive heart could perceive, may choose not to speak again. And that is the deepest sorrow heaven has ever known. Yesterday afternoon, when the sunlight had faded into a mournful gold, the second soul raised its voice. No longer soft like the early morning, no longer a breeze brushing past leaves. This time, it was a call heavy with urgency and aching concern. It surged through your senses as though trying to pierce the dense armor of doubt you had so carefully built. It was no longer gentle, no longer waiting for you to understand through quiet revelation, because it knew time was running out. It knew the river of mercy was drying up. It knew the door, still ajar at the end of your path, was trembling with the final echoes before it shut. And so it screamed in silence, through invisible tremors that your heart, if even a little awake, might have felt. It shook you with a racing heartbeat, unprovoked. It choked your breath in a moment you thought you were simply living. It unsettled the logic you thought unshakable, forcing you to pause, startled, uneasy. But you like always, brushed it aside. You turned away, not out of malice, not out of apathy, but because you had lived too long under the illusion that everything was fine, that this feeling will pass, that it's just fatigue, that nothing's really wrong. You had grown used to soothing yourself with words gentler than the truth, words you didn't truly believe, yet kept repeating like a lullaby that put your heart to sleep. And so you kept walking. You walked like a sleepwalker, eyes set ahead, yet seeing nothing. Feet touching the ground, but feeling no sound. You were blind to the shadows shifting behind you. Those you once denied, once ignored, once buried deep in memory. They hadn't vanished. They were waiting. And yesterday afternoon, when the second soul cried out, was when they drew closer in silence. No longer a whisper, not merely a tug on your soul, but a cry, a sorrowful lament, a desperate warning echoing from a formless realm. It screamed within your spirit, not through your ears, not through your eyes, but through the fractures in your consciousness. And if you had listened, just for a moment, you would have known. This was not ordinary. The sky grew dim. Not a single cloud. No sign of storm. Yet the light in your eyes dimmed, as if someone had drawn a veil across your vision. Fading, heavy, the air thickened. No wind, no thunder, yet a weight pressed down on every breath. Nature did not change, only your perception did. Your heart was being pulled away from the zone of grace without your knowing. And in that instant, it called you, not with force, not with miracles, but with a shapeless sorrow, with the despair of a soul that has loved you too long, waited too long, warned you too many times, only to be met with silence. It called, not to condemn, but because it knew. Time was nearly gone. It knew its voice would soon become useless. It knew that mercy, the invisible cloak that had covered you since before you knew fear, was wearing thin, melting away like morning mist under sun. It knew well. If you do not stop, do not turn back, today's warning will become tomorrow's reckoning. No more metaphors, no more delay. When grace recedes, what remains is not divine anger, but the natural consequence of your choice. But what did you do? You silenced your unease, not by facing it, but by denying it. You told yourself, I'm fine, that it's probably just in my head, that if I just keep going, everything will go back to normal. You didn't realize nothing is the same anymore. It's not the world that changed, but something within you has broken. True peace is no longer there. The original light has faded. What's left are beautiful coats of paint covering an unnameable emptiness. And you, in your effort to hold on to so-called stability, chose silence in the face of your own trembling. The second soul tried to stir you one last time, with all the love that remained, with all the faith that you might still return. It screamed in ways no one else could hear, except you. If only you dared to face it. And when you didn't listen, when you brushed the feeling away like someone sweeping ashes, it knew. A door was closing, A long chapter was ending, and a destiny was reaching its irreversible peak. You didn't see it, because you had convinced yourself that nothing had changed, that nothing had truly touched you. But deep within your soul, where all masks fall away, you knew something essential was slipping away. And now, only the final echoes remain. The voices that once rang in your heart, that once trembled through your dreams, that once seeped into the sudden gusts of wind, are now fading. No longer urgent, no longer pleading. Only faint reverberations remain, like distant chimes from a soul house closing its doors. Do you hear it? No one calls your name with urgency anymore. No one taps gently on your heart, hoping it will open. Everything now has grown eerily quiet, but it is not the stillness of peace. It is the silence of something about to end. Do you understand what that means? It's not because they gave up on you, not because they stopped loving you, but because even the deepest, most enduring mercy cannot keep a door open when the soul no longer wishes to walk through it. And you, with your indifference, your delay, your repeated turning away, let that priceless gift slip from your hands without even knowing it. Can you feel the weight of this silence? Silence, by its nature, the womb of all creation. But not all silences are beginnings. Some are endings. The silence that now wraps around you is not colored by serenity, but shadowed by the last of all warnings, now depleted. When the final word has been spoken, when the last call goes unanswered, silence becomes the curtain that falls upon a stage left empty. And in that very moment, when no one speaks anymore, you will see the truth most clearly, not through shouting, but through absence, through the fact that no one calls out anymore. No dream jolts you awake in the night. No strange wind brushes past your heart. No invisible gaze touches your shoulder when you stand before the mirror. Only then will you see. Nothing that ever happened was random. The nameless feelings, the tears that fell without reason, the moments your heart clenched during times of perfect calm. All of it was a warning bell, a love letter from the sacred, a final message from souls who only wished you would return before the rain became a flood. But when you kept saying, "It's nothing," when you continued living as if heaven were a distant myth, as if mercy were something that could wait forever, then, in that moment, you had chosen. No need to scream, no need to declare it. Every time you ignored it, every time you turned away, you pushed yourself further from grace. Mornings are not empty words. They are not divine scare tactics for the fragile-hearted. No, they are signs of the greatest love. The kind of love willing to stop you when you're heading toward the cliff's edge. The kind of love that dares to interrupt the silence of heaven to say, "Turn back before it's too late." But if you still refuse, if you still think it's just emotional residue, just the mind's tired tricks, then soon, very soon, the warning will shift into judgment. Not out of vengeance, but because justice is the shadow cast by mercy once it has been refused. Judgment doesn't come from heaven's rage. It comes when mercy has no home left. It comes when love is left outside a door that's been shut. And by then, light will no longer knock, for it cannot force its way into a soul that has chosen the dark as its dwelling. You still have a moment, perhaps the final one, a breath, a heartbeat, a single thought whispering, "I can't keep going like this." If you still feel something stirring, then know, it's not too late. But if you let it pass, if you let that final whisper fade like mist, then when you turn back, all that remains will be silence. And that silence will no longer call your name. Now, as the light dims and darkness begins to press in, judgment is no longer a distant concept. It has crossed the threshold, no longer a warning, but a cold and inescapable presence. Every plea, every cry has become an echo lost in the void. No one is listening. There is no turning back. You have crossed the final boundary, not merely through action, but by a decision made in the very soul. You have entered a place guarded by the unshakable laws of the universe. A place only the foolish believe they can walk through unscathed. You have opened a door to consequences beyond comprehension. Consequences your soul must now bear. You have spoken words that should have remained in silence, words strong enough to stir the unseen, to shake the foundations of stillness. You have taken what was never yours, not just material things, but trust, peace, a piece of someone else's soul. And now the earth, the patient but just mother, has felt your presence like a hairline crack upon its tranquil surface. Every step you take, every soft touch, leaves an invisible mark that nature can no longer ignore. The wind has heard you, carrying the whisper of falsehood to the far corners of the world. The air you breathe is now heavy with unrest. Everything around you, from the silent stars above to the underground rivers below, has borne witness. Nothing can be hidden from the perfect silence of the cosmos. Even when no one sees, the invisible realm knows. And once truth is inscribed there, it cannot be erased. Did you really think there would be no price to pay? That your actions could be buried forever? No. Because every imbalance, no matter how slight, will seek to restore itself. No act escapes its consequence. No lie leaves no trace. No pain goes unrecorded by the universe. You are standing at the edge of the abyss, and the abyss does not look back with hatred, but with sorrowful mercy. For the cruelest fate is not punishment, it is becoming a stranger to the light. You have stepped outside the gentle arms of kindness, into a place where redemption can no longer reach. And it is there you will finally understand the highest cost is not loss, but the loss of the chance to begin again. There was a time when you had the chance to apologize, to make amends, to bow your head and acknowledge your wrongs. But that time has slipped away like sand through your fingers. Now, all that remains is the suffocating stillness of a judgment being carried out, not by a hand of hatred, but by the natural order of the universe itself. What you sow, you shall reap. What you have done, you must bear. You may try to run, may cloak yourself in 1,000 layers of pretense, but nothing can shield you from your own shadow. It clings to you, breathing in every breath, haunting every dream, and lingering in even the quietest moments. For wrongdoing is not merely in the act, it takes root in the consciousness, and once truth has embedded itself into the very soul, there is no force that can uproot it. You have tangled the delicate thread of karma, where every small vibration weaves the tapestry of fate. You no longer walk this world as an innocent, but as one marked by a stain that no mere regret can wash away. And even if your tears fall like summer rain, they will never be enough to extinguish the smoldering fire beneath the earth, a fire born of your own deeds. Yet still, not all doors are closed forever. The most terrifying thing is not punishment, but the moment your heart shuts itself off from the light. Punishment may pass, but corruption, if allowed to settle, can remain eternally. So now, in these final moments, listen, not to the voices outside, but to the faint whisper of the humanity still lingering within. If even the smallest ember of light remains, hold on to it. Do not let the darkness devour what might still redeem you. Because even though the scales have tipped, even though the wounds run deep, there may still come a day when you stop fleeing and begin to walk, slowly but sincerely, toward redemption. Do not seek forgiveness from the world until you have learned to forgive yourself. Do not cry out for love until you dare to face the shadow within. The universe is not without mercy, but neither is it lenient. It demands payment, but it also offers chances. And that chance, however small, like a flickering flame in the night, can become a torch if you learn to guard it. Do not ask why you must endure this. Ask why you chose the path that led you here, and from that answer, begin again. If there is still time. Never forget that even within the fiercest storm, there are moments of stillness. Even amid the roar of destiny, there are silent instants where truth reveals itself like a shard of broken mirror, reflecting all without disguise, without repair. That is the moment you must face, not with reasoning, but with your heart. And when you stand among the ruins you yourself have created, you will understand. Judgment comes not from others, but from within, from the one who knows best what has been lost and what might still be salvaged if you truly wish to. But remember, that can only happen when you lay down your pride, let go of your excuses, and face the truth with eyes no longer veiled by illusion. So now, as the final bell tolls and the last curtain is drawn, bow your head, not in defeat, but in understanding. Understanding that every step leaves a mark, every word bears consequence, and every soul has its own threshold of endurance. To exceed that threshold is to step into a realm no longer under protection, where only naked truth remains, and a price that cannot be avoided. Step forward, but this time, walk with a heart that has awakened. Let it not come to pass that judgment must knock again, for next time, there may be no one left who hears your call. Now, the reckoning has begun. No more delays, no room for pleading. Once the wheel of fate turns, it does not pause for justifications, nor sway for tears. Every action has been sown, and now you walk upon your own field, where seeds of misfortune quietly sprout with every footstep you take. It is too late to turn back, too far gone to undo, for you have crossed a boundary that was never meant to be breached, the line between the sacred and the desecrated, between what is protected and what was stolen. You have spoken words never meant for mortal tongues, words forbidden since the dawn of existence, echoes that once silenced even the heavens. You have touched what was not yours to touch, not just with your hands, but with your desire, with the arrogance rooted in your heart. And in that moment, the forces that dwell in the unseen watched, bore witness, and recorded. Do not believe that silence means you have escaped the consequences. The earth, like a living being, felt the imbalance in its rhythm the moment you stepped upon it. Winds that were once your companions now carry the cry of betrayal, howling a reminder that nothing passes without leaving a trace. Every sound you've uttered, every thought you've harbored, has become testimony in a silent trial, where the judge bears no human face, and the sentence is not spoken aloud, but seen in the irreversible shifts in your own life. The curse? No, it is not a frenzied punishment. It is the quiet unraveling of order from within. It does not shatter doors, nor roar like thunder. It arrives like a sudden chill in the heart on a sunlit day, like a gaze that passes through you and leaves your skin crawling for reasons you cannot name. It is the silence that echoes. It is the nights you lie awake not from fear, but from an inexplicable sense that something precious is lost, though you cannot say what or when it slipped away. It is when you look into the mirror and see eyes that no longer reflect who you are, but some unfamiliar being, watching, waiting for you to collapse, so it may take your place. The certainties you once held are crumbling. Relationships that once grounded you now feel distant. Places that once offered comfort now leave you feeling like a stranger. And though no hand has dragged you down, though no curse has been uttered from another's lips, still, you feel yourself sinking into a chasm with no visible bottom. It is not the punishment that frightens you, but the emptiness, because when the soul is stripped piece by your own actions, you begin to feel the presence of absence, as if you are only a shell, and the core is eroding with every passing day. And that is the most profound punishment, not the lash, not the fire, but the reality that you continue to live, yet are no longer truly yourself. That you still walk, but without a destination. That you hear the wind calling, but no voice within answers. That you utter prayers, but each word falls like stone, sinking into silence. Do not expect salvation if you still refuse to face what you have done. Every deed sends out a vibration, and the universe forgets not even a breath. The scales of justice do not tilt forever without eventually returning to balance. The time has come for you to realize. Forgiveness does not arrive through evasion, but through the courage to stand before the truth, even when it sears through your very bones. You once believed you were chosen, but did you understand that the chosen are not those pampered in grace, but those tested in flame, forged in solitude, and shaped through pain? And if you stumbled in the very first trial, it does not mean you were cast aside, but it does mean you must pay the price, not through death, but through a rebirth wrought in agony. Each day that follows will be a test, not one of sudden judgment, but a series of moments that force you to choose between conscience and evasion, between accepting the consequence or continuing to build a castle of deceit upon shifting sand. Remember this: the wrath of the Supreme Being does not erupt in a flash. It is measured, like drops of water filling a vessel, until a final drop causes it to overflow. And you may be the one who let that last drop fall, but even in the darkness, there remains one thing that never leaves you: choice. No one, not even the greatest power, can take away your ability to choose. You can still choose repentance, not through words, but through a transformation that begins in the soul. You can still kneel, not before gods, but before the human part of yourself you have betrayed. The silence of the universe is not indifference. It is your final chance to listen to yourself. When all the noise fades, when every excuse loses its weight, you will hear the voice of truth, the one voice that cannot be silenced. So listen. Feel it. No one needs to show you the way, because deep down, you know where you strayed. No one needs to punish you, for the unraveling has already begun within your own heart. And if you truly seek the light again, you must accept walking through the darkness unarmed, unjustified, undefended, carrying only honesty, as fragile as a cloak, yet the only thing that can protect you. This is no longer the time to assign blame, not the time for anger or regret. This is the time for responsibility, the time to rise, trembling, but not fleeing. For only when you dare to face it will the curse, though still present, no longer have full dominion over you. Hast as all things hope. Hast. And when you pass through that journey, if you truly do, then silence will no longer be a sentence. It will become the place where you begin again. So do not wait for salvation to arrive like a miracle. Do not believe that what was lost will be returned untouched. But if you are brave enough, sincere enough, then in the midst of this ruin, you will learn how to build something no one can ever take from you again. A soul that has known pain, has known wrong, and has learned how to live once more. At first, everything will seem vague and elusive, like a shadow at the edge of vision, like a silent breeze brushing the nape of your neck, like a shiver you can't explain. A fleeting moment, seemingly harmless, yet it plants the seed of something immense and uncontrollable. You won't notice it right away. No one does, because it doesn't knock with sound, but slips in, like a thought just beginning to form, like a question with no answer. At first, it's just a missed beat, a heartbeat out of sync with your steady breath, an echo too many between two silences. You might think it's your imagination, the fatigue of your body or your mind, but then you'll see it's there, never taking its eyes off you. It doesn't rush in with screams or engulfing darkness. It is more patient than that. It waits. It waits for every moment you turn away, every second you forget that you crossed a line, and slowly it becomes a part of the space around you. It hides in the whir of the ceiling fan, in the wind slipping through the crack in the door, in the steady taps of footsteps on the floor, small things. But as you try to ignore them, they grow, not louder, but more present. A faint breath in an empty room, a vague shape when you glance at the mirror, a soft step behind you when you're sure you're alone. Your voice will begin to sound foreign. You'll hear it echo back, not the voice you knew, not in tone, rhythm, or intention, it returns distorted, bent, as if truth itself is trying to correct the lies you once told. And you will be unsettled, because everything seems the same, yet nothing is. It all started from you, but you no longer command it. It's easy to call it hallucination, but the real fear doesn't lie in what you hear. It lies in no longer being sure you didn't. That space between voice and denial, that's where your soul begins to decay. And soon you will feel watched, not by eyes, but by memory, by consequence, by the things you thought you'd forgotten. Every room you enter, every hallway you cross, carries an echo, not of others, but of yourself at a different moment. The moment you chose to do wrong, to stay silent, to turn away from what was right. Those sounds cannot be buried. They are etched into the architecture of space. A door slamming harder than it should, a glass falling without a breeze, a clock running out of time but striking at the exact moment as if everything is sending a message. The more you ignore it, the louder it becomes. And one night, in the stillness of the late hours, you will hear your own voice whispering from the room next door. It won't call your name, won't say anything clear, but you'll recognize it. Because nothing is more chilling than hearing yourself speak the truth you've never dared to admit. That won't leave you. It won't soften. It won't fade with time. Because time doesn't erase truth. It only makes it quieter, deeper. No one comes to punish you. There is no figure lurking in the dark with sword or spear. There is only you and what you've done. What is denied will become whispers. What is forgotten will return in another form. These are not ghosts, not demons, not supernatural forces. They are reality's response, a reality bent by your own choices. The more you run, the more it follows. Not because it seeks to capture you, but because it is the part of you that cannot be discarded. The more silent you become, the louder the echo grows. For silence doesn't kill the haunting. It nourishes it. And when you look back, clutching reason like the last raft in a storm of feeling, you'll find only one thing remains: the truth. That you set in motion a chain of consequences no one can now control. Those sounds, they are not punishments, but reminders. That every action leaves a resonance. Every choice you make echoes in its own way. And if you so fear, it will return as a formless shadow, as breath in the night, as a quiet gaze that pierces through. If you sow deceit, it will live again in every wall, every object, every moment where you think you're safe. And one day, you will sit in a familiar room, bathed in gentle light, with nothing visibly wrong. Yet peace will escape you. Not because something has changed, but because something has been lost forever. An emptiness with no name, but so clear it feels like you dropped your soul somewhere and cannot find it again. And you will understand, slowly but surely, that those sounds, which once seemed like tricks of the air, are now the background music of the life you created. They cannot be turned off, ignored, or erased. You are not cursed. You are simply living in the echo of yourself. And that is the deepest punishment of all. When you cannot run from who you are, and when the only thing following you is not a demon, but memory of what never should have been. And maybe, one day, in the fragile space between waking and dream, you will hear a whisper, "I'm still here." And you'll know it isn't anyone else. It is you, the version you tried to bury, coming back to claim the truth. And then, as an inevitable consequence of the silent waves radiating from a fractured soul, those whom you love most, those who once were your shelter, your sanctuary in this life, will sense that something has changed, even before you yourself realize it. No explanation is needed, no clear sign is given. It's just something in their eyes, a flicker between compassion and caution, between quiet sorrow and something unspoken. They won't say anything, because how could they when they themselves cannot articulate the unease rising from the depths of their hearts? They will simply falter, hesitate. A word half uttered will be swallowed back. A touch once natural becomes awkward. They won't leave you, not immediately, but they will take a step back. And little by little, that distance will grow. Not through actions, but through instinct, through a loss of harmony. For they will feel the misalignment, a subtle distortion in the rhythm your soul once emitted. Where once your presence brought peace, clarity, or at least honesty, now there is a heaviness, a murkiness, like a once familiar room that no longer carries the scent of home, like a single off-key note that disrupts the wholeness of an entire melody, even if only slightly out of time. They won't be able to explain it, only that something in you, unseen, intangible, is making them hesitate. They will withdraw unconsciously. In conversation, they'll avoid your eyes. When mentioning your name, they'll hesitate. The name that once rang with affection will now pause between tongue and teeth, as if burdened with an unfamiliar tone. And you will see, no, you will feel this change hour by hour, day by day. A smile that no longer reaches its fullness, an embrace missing its warmth, silences that last longer than necessary. You'll be confused, then sad, then angry, but deep within, you'll know why. No matter how many times you deny it, no matter what you tell yourself, a part of your heart will understand. This dissonance began within you, because what lingers beside you now, it is not life, nor is it death, but the shadow of something that happened and remains unresolved. It has no shape, yet it has weight. It speaks no words, yet burdens every interaction. Your loved ones may not see it, but they will know it is there. The intuition born from love, from deep connection, will tell them to be careful, even if they do not know why. And so, those who once called your name with warmth will begin to delay that call. They won't retract their love, but they will retreat, not because they hate you, but because they can no longer fully recognize you. It's not that they are leaving, it is you who have lost a part of your soul, the part that once made it possible for them to hold your hand. This is the deepest consequence from which you cannot run. When love does not die, but no longer dares to touch. When connection still exists, but is veiled by an invisible mist that renders everything cold and blurry. You may try. You will say nothing has changed. You will smile as before. You will hug them tighter. but they will still see it. They will see the difference in your eyes, where the light is now veiled by something unspoken. And what hurts most is this: those who love you the most will be the ones who sense it most clearly, for they once knew you most deeply, and they will be the first to recognize when you are no longer wholly yourself. It does not happen in a single day, nor a single moment, but through a slow, relentless unraveling. Averted eyes, a nod instead of an embrace, a greeting cut short. These small things, seemingly insignificant, will become the cracks that no words can mend in a bond you once called home. And then you will realize some things, once veered off course, cannot be brought back with a simple apology. Some breaks do not explode with noise. They slip away quietly, like trust receding with the tide, unannounced, leaving behind cold, empty sand. You will yearn to recover what was lost. You will wish to turn back time, but you must understand, what you lost was not only the trust others placed in you. It was the part of yourself that was once worthy of that love. And to restore it, you cannot wait for others to reach out. You must be the one to step forward, to walk through the chill of conscience, through the unspoken reproaches, and stand before them, bare, unguarded, without pretense. Only when you have the courage to say, "I know I've lost something sacred, but I do not want to live my life without trying to find it again," only then, and even then, only maybe, will their eyes look at you once more, not with hesitation, but with the faintest glimmer of hope, and perhaps your name will be spoken again. Not as before, but with a chance to become something deeper. Someone who once lost their way, but refused to let that be the end. The nights will grow longer, not because time stretches or the earth slows its spin, but because something invisible and heavy begins to thread itself through every breath, every moment of silence. Darkness will no longer be the absence of light, but a presence in itself, something that seems to watch you, listen to every small movement, waiting for something, or reminding you of something that never truly left. You will feel it before you understand it. Dreams will no longer be an escape from reality. They will arrive sooner, more forcefully. Strange images, vague whispers will seep into your sleep, as though some door has quietly creaked open. And strangely, when you wake, they will not vanish. They will linger, not in clear form, but as an echo. A mist that coils around your mind, making you unsure if you are truly awake or still dreaming. And the boundary between these two worlds, waking and dreaming, will begin to blur. You will start to see faceless figures, flickering at the edge of your vision, at the corners of rooms, at doors you thought were closed. They do not approach, do not touch, do not speak, but they stand there. As if the moment you look away, they will step closer, and then closer still, and one day, you may feel them nearer, not with your eyes, but with intuition, with the tightness in your chest, with the chill running down your spine that defies explanation. Your surroundings will shift, even though everything remains in its place. The furniture doesn't move, the light stays the same, yet something feels off. Your steps will falter on the same floor you've walked 1,000 times. as if the ground tilts ever so slightly, as if the room is subtly shrinking in a way the eye cannot perceive. You will stumble for no reason. Your hands will tremble even in still air. Familiar foods will taste subtly wrong. Not unpleasant, but different, altered, as if seasoned by a memory that isn't yours. The air will carry a scent, one you cannot name. Not strong, but persistent, like the must of forgotten paper mixed with dampness, like a place that has been left untouched for far too long. You will tell yourself you are tired, that it's just your mood. But the more you deny it, the clearer it becomes. Not because it has changed, but because you have begun to truly see it, and that is when truth will shatter, like peeling paint from an old wall. The unraveling has begun. No longer a threat, no longer a premonition, but a process, quiet, steady, of threads being severed, of masks falling away to reveal a raw, frightening reality beneath. All of it, from the trembling of your fingertips to the unplaceable expression in the mirror, is not by chance. They are the first ripples, the distant toll of the bell heralding the storm you set in motion. No one else brought it. No force imposed it upon you. It was your choice. The moment you crossed the threshold, that small act, seemingly insignificant, that awakened a chain of irreversible consequences. Collapse does not come like an explosion. It bleeds quietly from the smallest cracks. It is silent, yet unrelenting. It creeps in gradually, starting from the most familiar things, until one day you no longer recognize the world you live in as the place you once belonged to. And in that moment, confusion will not engulf you with a scream, but with absolute disorientation. When you look at everything, but nothing feels real anymore. When every sensation becomes muddled. When whispers from your dreams echo into your waking hours. When vague images appear as though they possess souls of their own. That is when you will understand. What you began was never just a single mistake, but a fracture spreading exponentially. And within every hollow space you once believed to be safe, something will rise. It doesn't have to be a monster. It only needs to be the truth. The truth that nothing you do is without consequence. No choice, however quiet, goes without a ripple. No darkness you invite in ever plans to leave willingly. Everything is coming back, not for revenge, but as a reminder that you cannot keep denying forever, that the darkness you sowed has now taken root within you. From this moment on, everything will change, not in the world outside, but within you. Your gaze will carry a quiet fear. Your voice will bear the weight of regrets unspoken. And each night, as you turn off the lights, there will be a moment of hesitation. Not because you fear the darkness, but because you fear the version of yourself that exists within it. Collapse is not the end. It is a door. But it is a door that leads to a place where you must confront, must answer, must endure. No one can walk through it for you. No one can rescue you if you do not truly want to be saved. And before you can ever find light again, you must first accept that you are now inside the longest night. This night stretches not only across the hours of a clock, but through each heartbeat, each thought, each cast shadow, And whether your eyes are open or closed, it remains silent, unmoving, but ever present. Because now, it no longer watches you from outside, it is within you, and from within, it will whisper. This is what you began. Now you must live with it. And yet, even in the deepest darkness into which you are sinking, there are still those two souls, gentle as smoke, quiet as the last moonbeams stretched across the night sky. They do not leave. They are still there, standing at the threshold between two worlds, neither stepping in nor turning away. They wait, not with anger, not with reproach, but with a rare patience only souls that have loved deeply can hold. Even if you cannot see them, even if you've tried to forget, to ignore, their presence still surrounds you, like the last warmth lingering in a cold house. They do not speak, for they know they've spoken too much. They do not touch you, for they understand that if your heart has not opened, even the gentlest kindness can become frightening. They stand there, not to stop you, not to condemn you, but simply to offer one final chance, to see, to understand, to return. But their time is not infinite. That presence, so light it seems like a breath, is in truth an immense grace. A grace born not of power, but of love. And because of that, it cannot stay forever. It cannot wait for you endlessly. For everything in this world has its limits, even mercy. My child, if they leave, if that light quietly withdraws from the trembling threshold, then nothing will remain to hold the fragile hope that still flickers within the tightening dark. They will not return. They cannot. Not because they do not wish to, but because the law of balance will not allow love to remain where it has been denied. When grace is refused, it does not become hatred. It becomes silence, and in that silence, every warning will fade, as though it had never been spoken. You will no longer hear the gentle whispers in your sleep. You will no longer feel the eyes that watched over you with quiet concern. Dreams will become hollow, not because you no longer dream, but because no one remains to call you home. Only coldness will be left, unexplained noises, and shadows that carry no hope. And the heaviest weight of all will be the sense of loss you cannot name, for it is not the loss of someone, but the loss of the last chance to do what is right. Do not think this is punishment. No one is punishing you. There is no verdict being handed down by an angry God. What is happening is not cruelty, but the return of a balance that you yourself disturbed. This is equilibrium, the sacred balance that every soul in the universe must obey. What has been taken must be returned. What has been broken must be healed. What has been awakened from the depths must be faced and answered. And you know this. Deep in your soul, you know. What happened was not merely impulsive. It was a choice. What you took was not just material. It was trust. It was love. It was the peace of those who once placed hope in you. And when the scales tip toward wrongdoing, the universe, without needing any other hand, will restore balance even through the most painful of paths. But still, right now, there is a fragile light, a small flame you have not yet extinguished. Because they are still there, those two souls, with all their gentleness and purity, are still waiting at the edge between shadow and light. Perhaps they are people you once loved. Perhaps they are the good still within you. Perhaps they are memories, promises, your higher self desperately holding on to you before you let yourself fall entirely. They cannot cross the threshold to save you. No one can save a soul that does not wish to be saved, but they can stand there as a reminder that a way back still exists. It is not easy, not quick, not painless, but it is real. And you need only do one thing: look back. If you dare face what you have done, if you dare admit what you once denied, if you dare lower your pride and bow before the truth, then that light may enter once more. You don't need to fix everything in one breath. You only need to stop running, stop hiding, stop covering your ears to that faint calling. Because if you let them leave, if you let this moment pass without answering, what remains will not be darkness, but emptiness. No one left to blame, no one left to apologize to, nothing left to hold on to. And it is that emptiness that is the harshest sentence, not because it tortures, but because it is silent. It lets you go on living, but without knowing why. It silences every voice within you and replaces it with the endless echo of a choice never made. My child, listen. Look back. Acknowledge. Not for some grand redemption, not for forgiveness, but because your soul needs this to continue living, not just to exist, but to truly live, fully, brightly. For if not, if that door closes, then you will no longer be yourself, only an empty shell, drifting through the years with a loss too heavy to name, too formless to grasp, but as crushing as 1,000 stones upon the heart. Do it while you still can, while someone still waits. At the threshold, with eyes that do not blame, only plead. Please look back. Please come home. Do not let a curse be the last thing that remains. Do not let today's choice become a burden forever. Return what was taken, heal what was broken, and answer what once called your name. For when you do this, not only will the balance be restored, but you yourself will be saved. You have come close to the very edge of mercy, the place where love meets justice, where forgiveness still lingers, but cannot hold its ground for much longer. You stood there, not as one innocent and unaware, but as one who carries knowledge and choice. And now with every step, you are moving away from that light, leaving behind the place where compassion could still reach for you, where invisible arms were still outstretched in hope. Do not be deceived by my silence. Do not mistake the quiet heavens for abandonment or finality. No. Within that stillness, I am watching. In that thick silence beats the heart of the universe, waiting. A waiting full of solemnity and trembling. For when the final word has been spoken, silence is no longer a delay. It is the breath held before the storm. It is the hush before the door closes. The choice still lies in your hands, but you cannot delay forever. Time, once seemingly boundless, is now drawing back, like a stream drying beneath the punishing sun. The final drops are falling, quietly, steadily, but unstoppably. And you, O soul that has been called by name, are standing at a crossroads where each path bears eternal consequence. Two souls have spoken, not with voices of flesh, but with a chorus from other dimensions, where speech is not sound, but resonance, where messages shake the bones and stir the dreams that jolt you awake in cold sweat. These souls have sent their signals, not to frighten, but to remind, to pull you back from the chasm you are drifting toward, step by step, day by day. Do you not know? No storm ever arrives without a wind that comes first. No mountain ever erupts without the earth first trembling. And no judgment is ever rendered without a warning sent from the heavens. Prophecies have been proclaimed. Visions have appeared in the minds of the chosen. Signs have come, not to dazzle, but to awaken. Not to glorify power, but to stir the conscience that has grown numb. The voice of the Holy One, since the beginning of time, has never been absent in decisive moments. It has echoed through generations like a river that never dries, flowing from the mouths of prophets, through the midnight dreams of the righteous, through the whirling winds of the desert, into the stillest corners of the sanctuary. At times, it is thunder in a storm, fierce, impossible to ignore. At times, a whisper in the cleft of a rock, fragile yet sharper than a double-edged sword. And now, those sounds still surround you, if you would but listen. But your ears are dulled by the echo of self. Your eyes are clouded by the dust of misguided desires. Your mind is heavy with confusion, so much so that you can no longer tell truth from illusion. But truth does not need to be proven. It only needs to be felt. And if your soul retains any part still unbroken, you will know. The moment of transformation draws near. O you who are called, do you think I chose you only to cradle you? No. I chose you to refine you, to entrust you with a great mission, not to live for yourself, but to become a pillar for those who are collapsing. But if you keep turning away, if you keep pretending not to see, not to hear, then the choice becomes an indictment, and grace, that once shone like a halo around you, will withdraw, like the tide leaving the shore barren and exposed. Awaken. Notice how every detail of your life has started to drift off course, not by accident, but because everything is speaking. Every cold glance from a loved one, every nightmare that returns, every emptiness where once there was joy, all are alarms. You are living inside a symphony where each wrong note has begun to drown the melody, and soon the music will shatter unless you turn back. I have not gone far, I never left, but I cannot remain where the door is slammed shut by pride. I do not abandon you, but you can lock yourself out from me, and if that happens, you will no longer hear the call, no longer recognize the whisper of the Spirit. Then will come the true silence, not tranquility, but the absence of presence. And that is the most terrifying void of all. Do you not see? Do you not hear? Do you not feel something shifting around you? Great things, whether blessing or calamity, never come without warning. The universe moves by signs, and the heavens have never remained silent before history is rewritten. Even the earth, upon which you now stand, shudders before its crust is torn. And your soul, though you deny it, is quivering like a string stretched too tight. O soul that has been called, you still have a chance, but you must desire to hear, You must long to see. You must choose to change, not from fear, but from a yearning to return to what you were made to be. Not to escape punishment, but to live a life no longer tormented by what was never meant to be yours. Look back at the path you've walked, every turn, every choice. Then look at your present, into the eyes of your beloved, into the reflection in the mirror, into the silence that surrounds you. This is not the end. This is the crossroads. And if you are brave enough to choose what is right, even if it hurts, then perhaps, just perhaps, the heavens will sound again, one final time, to guide you home. But if you are in time, if your heart is sincere, then perhaps your return will be a signpost for those still wondering. Perhaps your redeemed soul will become the bell that rings out to others standing at the edge, unaware of the abyss. But all of that, all of it begins now. And it begins with you. Yet alas, time and again, humanity, in its frail shell of pride and self-importance, has plugged its ears to the voice of truth, has turned away from what is good, extinguished the alarms that have rung since ancient days. They chose blindness, not because there was no light, but because the light was too blinding for minds unwilling to face the truth. And so they walk, step by step, into darkness, believing it to be freedom, unaware of the silent pit yawning beneath their feet. People have grown used to believing only what they can see and hear, forgetting that the greatest events are always preceded by quiet signs. They wait for a storm to call it disaster, blind to the tiny cracks spreading across the moral foundations. They demand miracles to believe in the sacred, never noticing that each breath is a miracle despised. They ignore the whisper like a breeze, and only bow when the thunder strikes. But by then, it is too late. Do you think the warnings are mere accidents, like a random wind passing by? No. The words I have spoken are scattered throughout time, from the dawn of creation to this very moment. Every ancient scroll, every righteous dream, every uneasy glance of a child, every silent death of the innocent. They are all speechless messages, signs no one forces you to hear, but for which you will be held accountable if ignored. I have spoken from the beginning, from the first light that tore through the primordial dark, from the moment my hands shaped humanity from dust and breathed into it the sacred breath. From the instant free will was given, so too was warning given. Every law was not meant to bind, but to protect. Every boundary was not to confine, but to save from ruin. But mankind, drunk on the self, called freedom the breaking of limits and called restraint oppression. How many times have I sent those who spoke on my behalf, not in glory, but in poverty and tears? They did not speak what people wanted to hear, but what they needed to hear. And for that, they were mocked, rejected, and slain. The words I spoke through them were twisted, forgotten, wrapped in papers and rituals that no longer held a living soul. And humanity, mankind, continued to drift ever deeper into self-made illusions, until the abyss opened its mouth, and there was no way to turn back. You see, never has a downfall come without warning. Never has a dark night arrived without first being announced by an eerie stillness. But mankind has grown accustomed to dismissing the small signs. They laugh in the face of those who try to awaken them, calling them mad, superstitious, outdated. They demand proof, numbers, science, unaware that their hardened hearts are themselves the clearest proof of the destruction drawing near. People fear catastrophe, but they do not fear the silence in their own souls. They flee from the darkness outside, not realizing that their hearts have long been conquered by a darkness within. They cry out when danger comes, but they scorn instruction when peace is still present. They plead for protection, but they reject the hand that was extended before. And you who are listening to me now, you are no different unless you dare to admit it. You have been called, chosen, given ears to hear and eyes to see. But how many times have you listened without truly hearing, seen without understanding? How many times have you passed by the smallest signs because they did not move you enough? How often have you preferred comfort over truth? Look back. Everything you have gone through was preceded by a voice. Each time your heart was uneasy, each time you dreamt of being lost, each time someone said something that startled you, it was a warning. Not to frighten you, but to awaken you. Not to cause fear, but to invite you home. But if you do not listen, if you continue to cover your eyes with compromise, the next message will not come as a word, but as an event. No one will call you anymore, because you chose not to hear. So do not say I gave no warning. Do not say the event came without notice. Do not say I was silent. I have spoken. Through wind and rain, through fire and earth, through the young and the old, and even through your own inner being. Not all messages are heard in sound. Some simply rest there, quietly, waiting for your heart to open and feel them. But if you lock your heart, even the cries of heaven will seem meaningless. Mercy is never quick to depart, but it cannot remain in a place where no one longs for it. And if you do not stop, do not awaken, then the final word will no longer be a warning, but a judgment. Not because I desire to punish, but because your own choices have led you to that place. And in that moment you will remember every word ever spoken. You will recall every glance, every touch, every stirring of intuition you ignored. You will remember, but it may be too late. I have not been silent. From the beginning, from when your heart was soft like soil after rain, I have spoken, not once, not in just one way. I have scattered signs along every path you walked, in each dim shaft of sunlight upon the ground, in each dim shaft of gray cloud crossing the sky, in the wind that howled through your window at night. All were messages, quiet but fierce calls. I placed my word in your very breath, every inhale, every heartbeat, a reminder. You were not made to forget me, not made to be lost. I whispered in your dreams, where no masks remain, no disguises endure, where your soul is bare and nearest to me. In quiet moments, when the noise of the world faded and you were too weary to resist, I was there. Not loud, not imposing, only silent, longing, waiting for you to listen. I spoke to you through those beside you, a gentle word of advice, a worried glance, a presence that stopped you in your tracks. I stirred longing in your heart, not greed, but a yearning to live truly, to come home, to love in the purest way. Even your unease, that unnamed sense of imbalance, was a bell ringing, a knocking from within, telling you something had gone astray and must be made right. But you shut your ears. You chose silence, Not because I was unclear, but because you did not want to hear, because what I said differed from what you wished to believe. You feared it. You ignored the knowing, that voice which never left you, your soul's whisper in the silence. Something is coming. The sky is changing. Time is running short. You saw. Yes, you saw with your eyes, your mind, your vague, unshakable feeling. The world has changed. You witnessed hearts grow cold as steel, as stone. Eyes once full of love, now brimming with suspicion. Words once sweet, now sharp with bitterness. You saw love bartered, trampled, traded for hatred and violence. You heard lies exalted as truth. Truth, simple and steady, distorted, pushed aside, mocked, and what was sacred, once held in reverence, is now discarded like waste. Morality, kindness, purity, seen as weakness, as worthless. The heart of humanity is breaking itself, beat by beat, and there you are, unsure which light is real. Do you not see? The storms are gathering, not just in nature, but in the very soul of man. Do you not hear the ground cracking beneath your feet? The values that once formed the foundation are rotting. And I, the one who has always been by your side, am allowing this not because I have abandoned you, but because I am waiting for you to see. I am letting truth stand, clear and stern, so that you can no longer deny it. Warnings do not last forever. Every call has its limit. Not because my heart is narrow, but because people can only awaken while time remains. There is a season for mercy, and you have lived in it. Every day you rise, breathe, see light, feel life, is a day I have given you the chance. But mercy is not eternal. When that season passes, another will come. A season of judgment, of reckoning. And then, if your eyes are still closed, what will be left? I have called you by name, not in general, not vaguely, but precisely, clearly, fervently. I have laid my hand on your life, every moment, every event, marked by my presence. You are not forgotten. You are the one I chose, the one I love, but you stand at the threshold. You are caught, not because you don't know the way, but because you are clinging to a mirage. You know what is true. You once felt it. You once felt it, but you want something else. You want a path without pain, without loss, without repentance. You want to hold onto the world while grasping heaven, but my child, that cannot be. No one can stand forever on the dividing line. You tell yourself, there's still time. You soothe your soul with, tomorrow I will change. But what if tomorrow never comes? What if this moment is the last chance? What if the call you hear now is the final one, and what follows is no longer a message, but a verdict? Will you gamble your soul on delay? I do not want to lose you. Every time you fell, I waited. Every time you strayed, I watched over you. But love, true love, does not bind. I do not force you. I only invite. And now I invite once more, not gently, but with gravity. Be awake. Return. Choose again. Because when the time of judgment comes, no excuse will suffice. There will be no more, but I didn't know. No more, I didn't hear. Because you did know. You did hear. And I, who love you with an unchanging love, never stopped seeking you. This is the final word before the door closes. Return while mercy still extends its hand. Step out of the illusion while truth still waits for you in the light. I have never, and will never, let the world fall into silence without a voice calling out from the sacred realm. From the very first days when light was separated from darkness, when each star was placed in its rightful position, from the first song of dawn to the first cry of humankind, there has always been an invitation, a call to prepare, a reminder that the holy draws near, that the human heart must be made ready, the soul awakened, and the spirit opened like a door in the first breeze of spring. And now, amidst the many noises of the world, the laughter that's lost its way, the voices of resentment, of struggle and suspicion, I call to you, not because you are more special than others, but because you are mine. You were born of my breath, formed by the love I entrusted. Within you is a part of me, and I am calling that part back to its source. My child, stop. Do not keep chasing the shadows of illusion. Kneel, not out of shame, but because truth has spoken your name. Kneel not because you are lowly, but because you have forgotten how noble you truly are. Kneel like a branch heavy with fruit bowing before the sun, like the final summer breeze embracing the earth. Kneel not to be punished, but to find release from the weight of resistance. Let what has grown callous in you begin to crack. Let the layers of self-defense fall like autumn leaves, so your bare heart may breathe again. Let your soul, the most sacred, the most pure, yet so often forgotten part of you, speak. No polished words are needed, no defense or reasoning, only truth. Only a cry from the deepest place, the place untouched by ego, the place that still remembers my original invitation. For the heavens, vast, silent as the night sky, yet filled with life, are leaning in to listen, not to judge your words, but to receive them, to cover you with something unnameable, unconditional mercy, healing that requires no bargain, a homecoming without interrogation. My beloved child, do not be afraid. The breath in you is not just a chain of meaningless biological rhythms. It is a gift. And each breath is a bridge leading you back to me. Offer it up, not in fear, but in humility. The humility that comes from realizing you are nothing without me, but everything when you remain in me. Do not let despair kill the call within you. Do not let the past make you hesitate, and do not let the darkness drain hope from your heart. Offer up your groan, if that is all you have. I am not seeking the perfect. I am seeking souls brave enough to be honest. Surrender is not defeat. It is the highest offering a soul can give, not because it gives up everything, but because it trusts there is a safe place to lay it all down. When you surrender, you do not lose yourself. You rediscover who you truly are. Kneel without ritual, without preparation. Only a longing heart is needed. I do not need perfect prayers. I need the trembling in your chest. I do not need lovely songs. I need an honest sob. And if you truly open your heart, you will hear, not with ears but with your soul, a voice echoing back from the heavens. I have heard you. I have seen you. And I have never left you. O Almighty God, I have walked too long in silence and hardness of heart. I have shut my eyes to the signs, closed my ears to your voice. But now, within this heavy silence, I hear your call. I kneel, not because I am worthy, but because I cannot live another moment apart from you. Awaken my soul. Break the pride that has imprisoned me. Soften me like the earth, that your Holy Spirit might plant something new within me. I surrender. Lead me home. O Lord, full of mercy, I realize now that every step away from you has carried consequences, not only for me, but for those I love. I once believed I was wise enough to chart my own course, yet I became the one who was lost. Forgive my stubbornness, my disobedience, the voice I have ignored. Do not let your gaze turn from me. Have mercy on me, as you had on our forefathers. I need your grace more than anything else. O Almighty and gracious God, I thank you for never ceasing to call my name, even when I turned away. You have spoken through every event, every sign, every silence, and I was too blind to see. But you did not abandon me. I thank you that your call still remains, and that your heart still waits. Thank you, for you have never grown weary of seeking me. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong community of faith.